This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Wednesday, August 7th, 2024, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Matt Swanson. He's a conservation agronomist with the Iowa Soybean Association as he joins for this episode of Between the Pods. And Matt and I recently spoke at an ISA Innovation to Profit Field Day that took place in Oskaloosa, and I'm today going to learn more about cover crops, implementing conservation practices, and also cost share opportunities. It is time now for our closing market summary.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined by Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. And Kenan, as we have made it here to the midpoint of the week, what did we see take place in the grains here today?
Grains were mostly pressured today, moving throughout the day. Besides bean oil had a sharp rally today of over $1 in some of the month contracts.
And Kenan, as we look at the outside influences, those financial markets, the equity markets, have they calmed down at all? As we saw early in the week at the tail end of last week as well, that sell-off in the financial markets had its spillover effect in the ag marketplace.
The unwinding of the yen carry trade they talked about was something that put pressure on the financial markets moving forward, and they were higher today moving forward. But ag commodities actually held out pretty well that day. When everything was getting hammered, from metals to oil to stock indexes. But that was good to see. But then comes in this big supply story, good weather in the Midwest, and contracts pushing new lows here, whether that's weather related or more macro market related. It's could all be contributing factors.
Kenan, as we look at some of those yield estimates, those yield projections, how much are those weighing right now on the ag markets? Because as we know, there's been those hot spot problem areas where there has been some damage to the crops because of poor weather. But the areas that are in the Corn Belt that have received that timely rainfall kind of throughout the season, there's areas where there's large stretches where the crops are doing really well.
Yeah, that's always the question. And then the question comes into play is if those large areas are going to be a drag on the USDA balance sheet, when do they put that information in? Do we not see that till January? But given the crop conditions and how strong they are, I'm sure your listeners pay attention to different forecasting models. Everyone seems to have a pretty bearish story for the market. It's a pretty bullish story for the 2024 U.S. crop here. Just with the conditions, like you said, the areas that are good are really good. In a lot of places, spring wheat harvest and durum harvest have started up here in North Dakota, and yields have been spectacular. We had talked before about the spring wheat crop being large, and so far that seems to be the current trend. And we heard talks down in some of those Iowa states about the corn and soybean crops being large. So if their harvest starts and it's similar to what was projected up here, you have kind of a bearish story with supply.
On the other side of the ag marketplace in the livestock complex, what's happening with the cattle and hogs?
Yeah, we had that major sell-off, at the beginning of the week. And this might be, to answer one of your earlier questions, something that's more related to equities. Feeder cattle were down again today. Live cattle, had a little positivity today, and the hogs were down again. But, money moving from out of risk assets, the position for the management was long in some of these livestock markets. So this might be, to answer your other question, more where we're seeing the effects of the broader equity markets in this cattle market, especially where they've been near all-time highs.
And that relationship between the financial markets and the livestock markets, it kind of goes back to sentiment, doesn't it? That just in general, if people have more money to spend, if they're doing a little bit more well off financially, they're going to have that extra money to use on protein, for example, at the grocery store.
Yeah, you nailed that on the head, Mark. You couldn't have said it better myself. There's, anytime you start using, I heard people say the R word, but it's recession, that the cattle markets get a little flinchy. Cash has, been weaker, the Peter Cattle Index, but, overall, some of the sales are up north. I know, talking to guys, in light of that sell-off, they have been stronger than they thought they would be.
Kenan Layden of agmarket.net, our guest here on Wednesday. Kenan, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
Yeah, check us out on the web at agmarket.net and look for a broker in your area.
Kenan Layden, thanks so much. Appreciate it, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you to Kenan Layden of agmarket.net for our market summary. Let's turn now to the closing numbers, which can be found under the Markets tab of our website at iowaagnet.com.
September corn closes down 5.5 at $3.83 1/4. September soybeans down 8 3/4 at $10.05 1/4. September soybean meal down 7 even at $3.2360. September soybean oil up $1.22 at $42.07. Chicago wheat down 5 even at $5.38 1/4. Minneapolis wheat down 6 3/4 at $5.85 3/4. Kansas City hard red wheat down 6 even at $5.55 1/2. September oats down 1.5 at $3.28 3/4. On the Merc, August live cattle up 30 cents at $182.27. August feeder cattle down 37 cents at $242.62. October lean hogs down $1.82 at $74.57. October pork cutout unchanged at $92.45. Class 3 milk up 17 cents at $20.45.
That wraps up our ag market coverage for today. It is time now to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff. And up next, it is the latest edition of Between the Pods.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
You're watching Ag Matters PM, and it is time now for Between the Pods. In today's episode, I am joined by Matt Swanson, a conservation agronomist with the Iowa Soybean Association. This is Ag Matters PM.
It's time to go between the pods with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network and the Iowa Soybean Association. For the next year, we will explore the ways Iowa-grown soybeans are making a difference at home and around the world. Now, here's your host of Between the Pods, Mark Magnuson.
Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm here today with Matt Swanson. We are at the Innovation to Profit Field Day in Oskaloosa with the Iowa Soybean Association. And Matt, could you tell me your role within the ISA, please?
Yeah, thank you. I am a conservation agronomist. I've been with them for about 8 months now, so kind of cover the whole state of Iowa and help with conservation practices and getting them implemented and across the state. So.
Matt, what has that been like then in your new job in this role and just getting to know the lay of the land a little bit?
Yeah, it's been great. There's a lot of good supporters of conservation practices, whether that would be cover crops, no-till, reduced till. It's really been the hot topic here the last couple of years, and it's been great to help them continue to grow on the conservation side and also get new users as well.
So let's start there right from the top. What options are there for cover crops for farmers to be thinking about?
Yeah. There's real simple, easy ones like planting oats that winter kills. It's a fast growing, creates good biomass, helps with erosion. You won't have to worry about terminating it in the spring, so it's you don't have to plan a termination pass. There's also another great one is rye. Creates excellent biomass out there, helps with erosion, helps with weed suppression. Then there's also more advanced multi-species blends with radishes, red clover, hairy vetch to help fix some nitrogen out there and help balance that carbon to nitrogen ratio across your field. So.
And when we think of the benefits for cover crops and why farmers should be thinking about these practices, what should they be thinking at top of mind?
Sure. Yeah. So the one that always comes to top of mind is erosion control. You're always going to have that. It can reduce it up to 30% on your corn and soybean fields. The next one is really soil health. It helps with soil aggregation, so you're able to absorb more water when it rains. It also helps with feeding the microbes a more balanced diet to unleash and unlock the nutrients that are already in your soil. So that's a great benefit. Helps with weed suppression, so you're not putting maybe a pre-emerge down first before your corn or soybeans. It's just the soil health benefits is huge, and that's been such a buzzword the last couple of years. So and cover crops just go hand in hand with that. So.
And then dollar and cents wise, why should farmers be employing these practices? Is it going to help their bottom line?
Yeah, like I said, it helps with pre-emerge, taking out that pre-emerge chemical. It's a natural weed suppression. It helps with, unlocking different NP and K in your soils that are already available, just by balancing that carbon to nitrogen ratio, keeping that C to N ratio right where the microbes can really, feed the microbes at 24-1. So it keeps it balanced at that and just helps unlock some fertilizer that you wouldn't have to put down commercially.
So let's think about then from the grower perspective, maybe they're a little bit, hesitant, a little bit cautious just because they don't know necessarily everything there is to know about how to get the ball rolling. So where does Iowa Soybean Association come in? Because I know you have a lot of expertise on staff and a lot of help that's able to lend that helping hand.
Yes, we have conservation agronomists across the state that we help other conservation agronomists working for different retail outlets as well, getting them up to speed. All the technical assistance that we can offer with that. There's tons of field days we put on throughout the summer to help educate with that, and there's tons of research trials that we have some great data on long-term cover crops on your yields, and there's just a lot of on the conservation side. Before I came to Iowa Soybean, I didn't realize the amount of research that is done, and it blows you away how much research that's done based on the conservation practices that guys are doing. So.
And speaking of those conservation practices, have you had any farmers get involved that, take that first step with maybe something like cover crops, and then they learn about these practices and they want to add in those additional steps? Have you seen that happen?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe a guy will start with oats cover crop that winter kills, and then they'll maybe implement some no-till or reduced till or strip till, and maybe some adding multi-species blend out there. So, guys tend to take some baby steps, but I think once you're treating cover crop like it's going to benefit you, and you're treating it like a crop, you're that much farther ahead. If you're treating it like a weed or something that you have to terminate, you're really, you're kind of going against what it's there for. So.
And Matt, when we think about the entire outlook on things, when you add in cover crops, you do these conservation practices, you're maybe saving some money. It is all together making you a more efficient operation. And at the end of the day, we talk about that all the time, trying to get that best return on investment. This all ties into that.
Yes, for sure. It's a great way to unlock your soil the best you can, and help to save some commercial fertilizer that's being applied out there. So.
And then on a field day like today, the Innovation for Profit Field Day that is here in Oskaloosa, is this a great chance for a farmer to see maybe some of these practices they've seen on paper, but to actually see them in person? Yeah, for sure. And it's great. It's right from the horse's mouth. The farmers that are doing it, they can explain mistakes that they've maybe made or different things that they've been thrown at them over the years. And it just helps, to hear right from the farmer because I can explain this stuff all day, but the guy that has the experience firsthand really helps, and farmers can converse and have a good conversation. So these are really laid back sessions and really open to a lot of questions. So I think farmers find them very beneficial. So is there some cost share assistance as well? Yeah. Definitely, you have through your NRCS offices, but there's also, we're supporting Farmers for Soil Health. It's a federally funded program. It is $50 an acre over 3 years, so $25 the first year, $15, and then $10. It is a federally funded program, so you can't stack it with like an EQIP, but you can stack it with state programs and private programs. It's very easy to sign up for. You're guaranteed the money every year. Like some of those EQIPs, you might not find
find out if you get the money or not. So this is it's capped out at 1,000 acres, and it's a very simple way to help the offset the cost of cover crops or kind of get you started with that. So.
And let's go to that next. If you do want to get started, Matt, where would a farmer go? What resources should they seek out? And then could they actually get on the phone and talk with someone like yourself right away and get the ball going?
Yeah. We have a whole staff list on our website at Iowa Soybeans or iowasoybeanassociation.com, and you can reach out to the conservation agronomists that travels. We have 5 of them across the state. So get in touch with us, and we'd be glad to help.
He is Matt Swanson with the Iowa Soybean Association. Matt, thanks so much. Covered a lot of ground today. Exciting stuff, and best of luck with your job as you continue here at the Iowa Soybean Association.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you to Matt Swanson of the Iowa Soybean Association for joining today's show. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And you can find our video content and previous episodes of AM/PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget as well our free morning, midday, and closing market podcast, which are found wherever you find your favorite podcast at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. Also check out our daily Iowa Ag Matters podcast. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Quentin Slater, Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.